Today's talk regarding building omnichannel journeys and customer experience has more than 2 years of experience working as a SAP, technical solutions expert, project manager, innovations and transformation lead in the financial services sector within the global business service space of Procter and Gamble. Woo, that's a lot. That's how good he is, guys. He has very strong ties with his experience actually, sorry. Recently, he achieved a certification from Nielsen and Norman Group and is one of the founding members of the first student-led youth organization in the Philippines. Dominic has firm belief on building innovative user and human-centered solutions for design. Without further ado, everyone, let us now welcome Mr. Dom Pascasio. Emojis. Emojis. Thank you. Hello? I'm so excited for this talk, by the way, everyone. It's such an interesting topic. In the meantime, while he's connecting, let's do like a little survey. Does anyone know what an omni-channel journey is or what customer experience is? And also plug from Felicia, if you have any questions or talk, you can ask. It's a Slido link. So if you're still like, oh, what is omni-channel journey? You can just ask it there and he will answer it for you. And yes, look at his shoe collection link as well. Pasca shoes. Wow. Sana all, diba? Oh. Honestly, even I am not sure what an omni-channel journey is, so I can't wait to like learn more about it. This talk seems pretty business inclined. Oh, I'm looking at the Pascasio Instagram right now. Damn, a lot. Grabe. Respect. So nice. Oh, okay, this here. These are really nice shoes. And I like how he puts like a story behind it also, compared to just like actually posting it. That's really UX at work, making me emphasize with the user. Wow. Hello, Doc? Are you there? Okay.
Hello, hello. I'm here.
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll start sharing my screen, all right? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how this one works. Okay, can you guys confirm if I'm sharing my screen already?
Yep, I see that beautiful gradient text.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So apologies for some technical issues. It's my first time using Zoom. I'm not familiar with it, so I had to set up my audio just a little bit. But anyway, thank you guys from UX Talk for having me today. Today I'll be talking about omni-channel journeys and customer experience. I think this might be something new, I believe, for you guys. When I was in the university, I never really heard much about omni-channel or well customer experience and how they match together. But as I worked into the company, I figured how relevant these different topics are and how useful they are in terms of kind of like building an overall capability for UX in general. Okay, so just a little bit of disclaimer, right? Omni-channel and CX topics are very broad. Okay, so within the next hour or so, I think I will be focusing on just the common components, the big pieces and elements that you need to take note of as you do your work into internships or do some freelance projects, or even as you transfer into the work industry, right? These do apply, however, and translate to almost any vertical, I believe. Um, Regardless of where the user moves between the different channels and the different devices that they interact with as you represent your organization. Okay, so you see here on my first slide, you have like the different keywords. So just take a look at them right now. I'll be touching through most of them, right? Talking about how each of them are relevant into defining or building customer experiences that have omni-channel journeys, right? So that you guys can make use of this and hopefully learn in the next couple of minutes an hour. All right, so let me just introduce myself. My name is Dominic Pascasio. I graduated 2018 as an MIS student. I did was I was a part of the User Experience Society group of founding members. So together with Alexis, I know you're there, and some other folks. So I'm very happy to be able to be in this position right now, definitely, and share my experiences and share my knowledge with you guys. From before, I was the one actually working on making sure that UX&Chill was happening, and we had participants, and we had also speakers, brought into the campus, all those things. So it's definitely a good kind of like full circle. To talk more about myself and my role, I do work at PNG. So I've been here for almost 2 years already. I also took an internship in PNG. So all my work experience revolves around Procter & Gamble IT world. I do have some certifications on Nielsen Norman Group user experience, and at the same time on the IT infrastructure library framework, ITIL4 as we call it. So more on the service management side. What was my role, or what were my roles in the previous 2 to 3 years? I did networks. I also did project management. Now I'm managing a little bit more of an interesting side of PNG that you couldn't really imagine, but I'm managing innovations and transformation. So from an SAP perspective, a lot of enterprise applications. I've moved forward to working on innovation projects and transformation projects that basically look into emerging technologies and how we can bring them into PNG, right? To basically disrupt and deliver a lot of productivity into our business. So you see here some logos like Nime, Userlane, Disco, Fluxicon, and Pega at the bottom right side. Those are the technologies that I manage, just to give you a perspective of the role that I'm doing now. Okay, so enough about my background. I'll start now on discussing really omni-channel journeys and customer experience, right? As I go through along my slides, please feel free to raise a chat. I hope I can see it, but at the same time, just unmute yourself if you have any questions or clarifications along the way. All right. So to start off my discussion, I'd like to start with definitions and setting the right different vocabulary expectations as we talk through all of these different concepts. So I'll start with touch point. One thing that I did not mention during my introduction is that I am a really big fan of sneakers and shoes. So along with my PNG experience and some PNG examples, do expect that I'll be sharing some examples related to sneakers or shoes in general. So the first thing that I want you guys to take note of or understand would be this concept we call a touch point. All right, when we talk about omni-channel, we're going to discuss all these different concepts. And it's good that we set the tone or set the expectation right now. So what I mean by a touch point is that it's an interaction that takes place between a user and an organization. All right, so as a user, as a customer, you may be browsing on a website, you may be looking at the social media page, you may be looking at the mobile application for different things, right? For shopping purposes, for job hunting purposes, for just for entertainment, right? And that's what we call a touch point. So it revolves around more on the action of the user, right? That takes place for them to start interacting with an organization, right? The second thing that I want you guys to take note of is a channel, or the concept of where the interaction between the user and the organization takes place. So you can see here, I have examples of different channels: email, mobile website, tablet app, SMS, kiosks, all these different things, right? An example of one of our products in PNG will be SK2. So where the interaction between the user and organization takes place will vary, right? And when we talk about omni-channel, right, it's all encompassing. So it's all the channels that you can think of. So it's not limited to just your mobile app. It's not limited to just your to your websites. It's not limited to your emails or any of the channels that you can think of, right? It encompasses everything that the user can interact with as your organization would interact with them. There's just two things I want to kind of like drill down on channels. The two examples will be bidirectional and unidirectional channels. What do I mean by bidirectional channels? Those are more your interactive channels, where as a consumer, I get responses or I get interaction from websites or from actual users or agents from the other side. So if we break down again bidirectional, there's going to be digital and traditional, right? I think the theme for this UX and Chill is really experience digital. So I'd like to highlight how omni-channel UX and customer experience really will play a very big role as different businesses, as different ventures really try to transition into this new normal. So the traditional will be more of your physical locations, human interactions, or calls. So if I think about SK2, I'll probably see that in the duty-free store. I'll probably see that in some retail stores, right? So those are more your traditional interactions. The more, I would say, digital interactions, which is more required, I think, since we're now in a pandemic, will be your web applications, your mobile applications, online chat, your virtual kiosks, and those kinds of things. And then on the other side, we also have unidirectional, right? So as the term represents, it's one direction, right? So it's more of just for the user to consume. So we have there the print media, packaging, promotional emails, or maybe advertisements that you see that represent information or knowledge that we want you to consume. So if you see product advertisements there, that's what unidirectional channels mean. And the third and last one, important term that you guys need to understand, and when we talk about omni-channel, will be the devices. So devices will be very, very much related or interrelated with your channels. Why? Because this is how the user will access the channel. So I mentioned earlier, you can have your websites, you can have your applications, right? Those will be your channels, but how the user accesses them will be your devices. So say, for example, I can access Facebook maybe through my mobile phone. I can access Facebook through my laptop. I can also access Facebook through my tablet, right? So those are your different devices that build the multidimensional component of omni-channel experiences, okay? So again, as you can see here, I showed earlier a website for the SK2 product. What you can see here will be an actual store, an innovation store, where they would have their kiosks and softwares there for users to interact with before they buy the product. So again, important things that you know: touch points, the action, channels, where the user will interact with the organization, and the devices, how the user will access the channel. All right, so let's define customer journeys, right? So talking about those concepts to begin with, how does that transition, if you ask, right, into building customer journeys or creating omni-channel experiences? When we talk about customer journeys, it's basically a series of the different touch points on the various channels and devices that a user can interact with, right? Given that we're in a pandemic, right, the digital space is really growing. Right, there's less and less human interaction, and there's more interaction with devices, with applications, with systems, and those kinds of things. So the more it the more important it is to take note of the omni-channel experience, since everything is shifting from the more traditional space to the more digital space. Okay, designing customer journeys that promote omni-channel user experience will be very, very key. An example here that I put will be the PNG's employment or internship experience. So if RV is tuning in or Erin, shout out to them. But this is the example of how we shifted from PNG's perspective, the employment experience of these interns. So it starts off with a virtual interview, right? So they have to go through that virtual application from a before process of written pen and paper, face-to-face interviews or panel interviews, right? And everything shifted to virtual. Before, when you go into office on your day one, you'd get to get a tour and on the office and get your products, your laptop, your accessories, your lockers, your tables, etc. Those kinds of things. Now, it's shifted to a package being delivered at your door that contains your laptop, the welcome package or the welcome gift from P&G that contains kind of like different products that you can get as a freebie and those kinds of things, right? Obviously, since we're in a pandemic, everyone is expected to work from home, right, for our safety. So we've transitioned from going to the office, right, working with the interns face to face, allowing them to work directly into the office, right, have access to all the resources that we have there, to a work from home setup, right? From there, we also have onboarding sessions or capability building sessions that we normally do in-house. So from classes, from trainings that we have for all the new hires, for all those that need onboarding, now it's all virtual, right? So even after the internship, when you will complete your internship, job offers, assessments, and reviews of your performance will all be done virtually. So this is an example of just a customer journey and how it's very important for us to look into shifting to a digital space, given that we're in a pandemic, and we're experiencing a very, very different environment from what we had before. Now, I talked about customer experience. I'll move over to the concept of omni-channel user experience, right? So I think this might be new for most folks. And to simply put it, right, what does it mean? It means that the experience a user has while moving across different channels or different devices in order to complete an activity it is made good from a customer journey standpoint, right? So this means your experience is not only measured from an interaction level, right? From a relationship level, or even from a single touch point level, right? So it's a combination of all these components, regardless again if digital or non-digital, or if physical or traditional, or those concepts. Regardless, it's an entire package that we use to be able to look into an end-to-end user experience. Okay, so my example will be, shopping for a sneaker. I might start looking at an application through my mobile application, but when I do want to buy it, I'll probably go to my laptop or to my tablet because that's a bigger screen, and then I'll purchase it. I'll get the physical products with some physical brochures, the box, etc. So that's an entire experience. Buying from Shopee, adding to cart, using those different voucher codes, and then again, connecting with your sellers, connecting with a courier, all those different experiences create this omni-channel user experience. I'll talk about customer relationship. So I'm from an FMCG company. We don't necessarily build tech products, but we have a lot of customers, right? And as part of this omni-channel journey, customer relationship is very important to us, right? Unless you have good customer relationship, or unless you have any type or any form of customer relationship, then you can't really look into improving or building your customer journeys. Okay, so I just want to highlight this concept that I really do believe it's true, right? Customer relationship then and now. So in the past, companies really had the control of how, when, and where users interact with them, right? So for example, P&G, we normally expect folks to interact with their products or have their first moment of truth probably on supermarkets or retail stores, right? That's where you would normally see your products. But today, right, not just the pandemic, but the growing tech space, right, the growing digital space, everything has shifted in this perspective of customers dictating how they want to interact with organizations, right? What this means is that as users, right, as customers, you guys have more power to define where you want to interact or how you want to interact with another organization. So if I relate it back to PNG, everything seems to transfer or shift from a retail perspective to a direct to consumer perspective to an online perspective. Right, so you can see now PNG expanding their portfolio of products to Shopee, Lazada Mall, all those different areas, so that the user has more options to be able to purchase our products. If I go on to another industry, probably a good example would be the banking industry. From before, we normally do bank deposits or withdraw from the banks or transfer directly on a bank. Now everything is going online, right? You use QR codes, you use your bank account numbers, and you instantly can transfer money from one person to another with even big amounts in place. Right, so that's just one thing I want to also highlight, that customer relationship is now centered or dictated, right, by the customer versus before it was dictated more by the industry or more by the companies that were interacting with the users. I have three things here that I think are very relevant, and for me, it deeply reflects my work. It also reflects what I think based on my experience in a very big enterprise business. So number one, organizational silos contribute to fragmented journeys. So if you think about different startups, if you think about different businesses, it's broken down into different organizations or different departments. There's marketing, there's your customer service, there's your product, there's your merchandise, there's your engineering team, many different areas, right? And normally what happens is that these organizations create silos wherein they focus too much on the channel versus on the actual end-to-end experience. What do I mean? Marketing, for example, may focus just on socials, right? Promoting the products, promoting the service, promoting the applications that you can use, right? Support or customer service may focus on emails, phone, socials, or even SMS. Product teams may focus on mobile applications, tablet applications, or even websites, right? When we talk about merchandise or the actual product supply or R&D, they may focus on or sales. They may focus on the brick and mortar, the physical store. They may focus on e-commerce solely. So those organizations, those departments tend to create silos, right? Which result into fragmented journeys because the channels become the focus versus the entire journey of the user. The second one says remove focus on designing individual channel experience. So this is in relation to what I said just on the top, where different organizations, different departments tend to focus on the channel that they're working for, right? But in reality, as a customer, you may interact with different channels, but all of those channels, as I mentioned, omni-channel is all those journeys, all those interaction points contribute to this omni-channel experience. So as an organization, we shouldn't just look into our departments and their outputs and have them focus on their channels, but we should look at the end-to-end journey, look at what channels are involved here, what devices are involved here, and we bring all those teams together and collaborate, right, so that we can build an omni-channel experience. So my proposal, my thinking really as you guys take this omni-channel concept moving forward is that you design the journey, right? And you think of each channel as a part of a connected system, right? You can't just build the mobile application because you have, great developers or great designers working or having experience on mobile design, right? You need to think about all possible channels and think of your experience as an end-to-end system, wherein if you miss one, right, or if you don't invest in one, your entire experience will actually just drop. Okay. So when I talk about customer experience, customer journeys, I want to highlight the three levels that we see in terms of UX. And this one, I've attached an article to NNG down below. but I think NNG really captured it very well for me. Right, customer journey or customer experience is segmented into three levels of UX. Number one is interaction level. The second one is the journey level, and the third one is the relationship level. Right, so I would say the most or the most evident probably will be the single interaction level. What this means is that it reflects or it shows the experience of a person using a single device in order to perform a specific task. Right, so if I talk about or go back to my example of sneaker shopping, for example, I may start looking at the available products using my mobile phone. That's the single interaction level. Okay, if I switch over to my iPad or if I switch over to my laptop, that's another interaction. Okay, the second one is the journey level, right? Interaction level UX. So what do we mean by journey level? This captures the person's experience as they work to accomplish a goal, right? Possibly using multiple interactions or channels or devices. So when I talk about the sneaker shopping again, the journey level captures my transition from a mobile phone to a laptop for me to complete my purchase. Okay, and the last one is I would say the more encompassing facet of customer experience, right? This is the relationship level. So this refers to all the interactions between the person and the company throughout the life of the customer relationship. So for example, I've purchased a product from Nike, yesterday, right? That's not the relationship level. What the relationship level captures will be your entire experience with an organization from way back. So if I've purchased from them probably 2 or 3 times in the past couple of months, all those interactions, all those touch points with my devices, with all their channels, contribute to this relationship level. Okay, so I hope that's clear. There's an interaction level, there's a journey level, and there's also a relationship level. Now, when you talk about customer experience, customer journey, the question will be, Dom, how do I ensure that I build effective omni-channel experiences, right? How do I focus on my customer journey, right? What components do I work for? Where do I focus on improvement so that my omni-channel experience will be great? So there's this 5 components that I want you guys to take note of that I think and together with my learnings from NNG, I think is very important for you guys to take note of. And I think with what I've seen in the corporate world or the industry, these different items really represent how you can build omni-channel experiences. So it's in order from left to right, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. But the key factors here, right, for everyone or anyone to achieve an omni-channel experience and achieve improvement or go to high level on all these components will be, number one, organizational support. Obviously, you need to get buy-in from your stakeholders. Number two is culture, right? So everyone needs to think of the entire customer journey and not just focus on their silo or their organization or on their channel. Definitely, culture translates to way of working. And lastly, technological capabilities. So later you'll understand how if we go down to the right or towards the collaborative stage, it requires a lot more investment in technology. So these 5 components are consistent, optimized, seamless, orchestrated, and collaborative. Let's start with consistent. This one tells or talks about your experiences that will be similar, cohesive, regardless of the channel you're on. Right. So if I'm on mobile, if I'm on if I'm on email, or if I'm on social media, all of the content that I see should be consistent. Optimized, regardless of my channel, experiences should be designed for the context of maybe what device I'm using, right? So that's the second key piece. Seamless, transitions between different touch points, different channels, and different devices should be very simple and without friction. Fourth one, orchestrated. This means that organization users need to be given more of a proactive response, right? So that they will be provided with the right content at the right time. And lastly, which is the highest level of omnichannel experience component, will be collaborative. This experience talks about enriching the channels that the user may have or the devices that they can interact with to be something very useful if they are put together or can be used together. All right. So from left to right, the most or the basic ones that you can start with will be definitely be consistent or being optimized. And as you go down to the right, cost of entry will get higher. And again, your support and buy-in will definitely need to be stronger as you go towards the collaborative component. All right, before I go deeper into the 5 components, I'll just talk about what you can use to provide a baseline, right, of your customer journey so that you can address those components of consistent, optimized, seamless, collaborative, right, and consistent, so that you can improve your omnichannel customer journey. You need to do research and mapping definitely, but I wouldn't cover any of these items on the workshop or on this talk anymore. But this is very critical for you to start or document your as is process, where you are today, what are the pain points of your users. That will basically help you get insight on where you can focus on, where you can easily get equity or buy-in from your stakeholders and all those different things. You can make use of customer journey maps. You can conduct qualitative research methods like diary studies, customer interviews. You could put together all of these information or insight into different diagrams. And at the end of the day, what you want to do is really visualize the journey so that your stakeholders are clear on what the process is like, what the journey is like, and what the experience is like. So it's easy for them, or it's easy for them to provide alignment or get buy-in in terms of improving or investing in this omni-channel concept. Okay. Now I'll talk about the different components now. Hopefully, all of these components will show a very good example of what you can focus on, right? Where you can play, and what things you can do to really ensure that your organization is focusing on these components to be able to contribute to that better or improved experience. So number one is be consistent. Consistency should be applied on different things, right? But I'll focus on the 3 first bullets, which I think is really mandatory for this specific component. Number one is core functionalities, right? People select and change channels due to habit. Probably I'm more comfortable using my phone due to convenience, right? Or maybe need. Maybe my phone doesn't have battery. I need to move to my laptop. Preference, roadblocks, experience, and different perceptions, right? So with that in mind, we need to ensure that regardless of where the channel is or what device they're using, your core functionalities remain the same. If I'm able to purchase a product from my phone, I should be able to purchase a product from my laptop, right? In that simple term. The second one is workflows and implementations, right? The steps that you need to take, the different tasks that you need to do should generally be the same, right? You don't want an experience to be very, very different, very easy on a mobile phone, and very tedious on a laptop, right? It's like you're working or I'm interacting with 2 different companies. We don't want that experience. Third one is information, data, and messaging. I think this one is really, really important. When I say the top 3 ones are the top priority, this last one is very significant for me because we always kind of need to ensure that content remains the same across our different channels, across our different devices, right? So whatever content you present to your users on another channel, it should be the same data, same information that you present to them on another one, right? 4 and 5, I would say, are not as top priority, but they contribute a lot to being consistent in their look and feel. Well, obviously, you don't want your branding to have like primary colors of blue on your mobile application, and then when they transition to their website, it's an entire different experience. Like SK2, it's red, but then I don't know, maybe from a mobile application perspective, they chose a color of green, right? So you need to be consistent from that basic standpoint of look and feel. And tone of voice, right? I think also this is something very important, right? Whatever copy you put into any of your channels, they should be very consistent, right? So I need to be able to feel as if that I'm interacting with just one product, with just one application, with just one organization, regardless of where I am, right? Why do we need to invest in being consistent? This contributes to your users' learnability, so that we can build trust with them. At the end of the day, it builds efficiency on their side and confidence on their side that regardless of where they are, what channel they're in, they're able to perform their tasks with ease, right? And they don't need support. At the same time, from your end, they don't need your technical capabilities for them to resolve any of their issues, right? One great thing that I think is very effective for our organization and PNG that we make use of, that you can also reference to, will be something we call Omnichannel Asset Map. Right. So as I mentioned, think of a task, think of an experience of one specific user, right? For just one key task, and list down or map out the different experience assets and channels, platforms, devices that they can use to be able to complete that task, right? This will help break that silo from the different departments and different organizations, because they will help, or this will help them see and realize that anything that users may see or experience will be a collection of different assets from any or from different organizations or different departments, and it builds the experience, right? So no matter how great an experience may be from a product standpoint, right? If the marketing is bad, or if the marketing was designed not to be cohesive with the product, then the entire experience of the user will actually drop and go down, right? So this will hopefully, right, be able to help an organization realize tangible experience elements and put them into one place, so that we can, or so that the team can assess really consistency across the different devices, the channels and touch points that are visible through this asset mapping, right? What this one does not take into account will be your user-centered context, such as your thoughts, your feelings or motivations that are more captured probably with customer journey maps. So they can be used in complement of each other. All right. The second component I'd like to talk about and focus will be optimization, right? So from consistent, we go on to optimization. So this one is a little bit more complex to enter, but then again, from a level of the five components, this is also one of the top priorities that will be a quick win if you focus on optimization. What does this mean? We consider the device role, strength and context of use. How do people use these devices? What are capabilities and context of influence, right, that may change their expectations as they use the different channels or the different devices. So my simple example here will be laptops versus tablets versus phones. In your laptops, they're made for large screens, right? They're made for very or higher processing power, and made for long inputs of forms, text, and data. Right? If I look into tablets, tablets are for me are made more for media consumption, right? So it's better for images, for videos, and those kinds of things to be visible on a tablet, right? In terms of tasks, it's a little bit more lightweight compared to laptops, but there are features and functionalities that you may want to use of, right, and optimize if your users have tablets, like camera, GPS, or maybe gestures, right? The same way with phones, you maximize interconnectivity, right? So you have their cellular data. You also have camera, GPS, and the new things now like fingerprints or Face ID, one-time PIN. You have those functionalities, and you can optimize according to those strengths of each device. You can optimize according to the roles of each device and the context of use. Okay. So there's just also this one concept that we can relate to being consistent, right? The first component. So this one talks about same content optimized by the device, right? So in relation to consistent, it needs to be also optimized. So it changes in some way. So what I want you to understand here is that we need to build modular adaptive content. What does this mean, right? So for example, in PNG, we manage a very, very big database of knowledge, right? And those knowledge are visible on different websites, on different systems, on different applications, because they pull from one database, right? We need to ensure that when it's created, it's published everywhere. When it's changed, it's updated anywhere. What you don't want to happen is that on one application it gets updated, your user transitions onto another device or to another channel, what they see will be different, right? So that's what we want to avoid by building modular adaptive content. The second one is, in relation to the first component, again, is be consistent but optimize. When we talk about consistent, doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the same all throughout, right? We want the same core experience, but if there's functionalities, for example, that you would get on certain channels, or certain devices, you adjust for it. If you can use Face ID when they're on a mobile phone, then use Face ID. If you can use GPS or camera while on their iPad or on their phone, then use that, right? So what I mean by being optimized, is still being consistent on a core experience standpoint, but you adjust, right, according to the strengths of your different channels and your different devices. So again, since I like sneakers, I think it's an easy way for me to relay kind of like my thoughts and experiences in this manner. So you would see here what it looks like. So this is the sneakers app where you could basically see the new drops of shoes that go out, um, essentially every day, that you can buy, right? Every 10 a.m. It sells out in about a minute or two. But this is how you can see the consistency, or kind of like the optimization at the same time, right? You see here on the right, it's more of a list that you can see. So it's easier from a mobile standpoint to take a look into this, excuse me, to take a look into these details, right? And then on the left side, it's on their website when I used my laptop. So since my laptop has a larger screen, they're maximizing my ability to look into the details of the shoes, right? To look into the smaller, or the more zoomed in components of the shoes or the sneakers I'm trying to buy, right? So this just again highlights how you can be optimized from a device standpoint and adjust based on the device strengths, but at the same time still be consistent, right? I'm seeing still the dates or order of where or when they'll be released, and those kinds of things on the same screens. The third component is seamless. Now, as I mentioned earlier, as we go right more, right, the third, fourth, fifth, and fifth component, it gets a little bit more technical. It gets a little more challenging to get buy-in from your stakeholders, because it requires a lot more investment, right? It has a higher cost of entry, but at the same time, you will get more benefit. The third component I'll talk about is seamless, right? Being seamless. So what this means is that your cross-channel customer journey, where different transitions from channel to channel, um, should involve very minimal friction, right? What this means is that you should facilitate transitions as an organization. So a good example I have later will be Spotify or BPI, or even this multi-factor authentication tool that we use in PNG. So I'll move forward to that one. But my concept really here is that cross-channel customer journeys should have transitions from one channel to another with very minimal overhead or minimal friction. Okay. An example I have here for with all these different components will be number one on the left side. I'm on my Spotify, and I may want to share the music that I'm playing right now to another person. Being able to share it, right, to all these different channels makes it easier for me, right, versus probably typing in the artist name, the song title, and having them search for it, right? It facilitates that transition for me so that I can send it to another person who's probably on a different channel that I am right now. Another good example that I have will be the BPI QR codes, right? So normally we are working with what do you call this, physical interactions or face-to-face interactions, but now I can just make use of my camera use the QR code and have the other person show their QR code to me, and I can pay them directly through QR. Right, a good example of facilitating transitions or allowing users to pick up from where they left, right? If they didn't complete their task or if they saved something as a draft, will be to facilitate their facilitate the steps that they need so that they can resume. Right, so in Commonwealth they had a sale, right? Probably Shopee or Lazada does the same thing. You'll add to your cart, right? And you add to your cart and you leave it behind, and the sale is about to end. You would get notifications. I don't know if you guys receive any of these notifications, but you would get notifications that sends you reminders of what you still have left on your cart. So this, I think, for me is a very good um, uh, transition, right, from where you left off, and enabling you to seamlessly pick up for the tasks that you have in not yet completed. And the other one is what we have in PNG as kind of like the multi-factor authentication tool. So whenever I use my laptop and I access any intranet or internal application, I need to authenticate. Right? For me to authenticate, I need my phone. Right? In my phone, what happens before was that I need to I'll get a message on the application telling me I need to authenticate. What I'd normally do before, I go on my phone, I'd open the app, I generate the code, I type the code on my PC, and then enter it. Right? That is kind of like somewhat a type of friction because I need to do a lot of steps in my other device for me to be able to proceed with my next step. Now they've upgraded it, and I think it works a lot better because what I just need to do now is type in the website on my PC. It automatically provides a notification on my phone. I just open the notification, and this screen pops up. It authenticates using my Face ID. I don't need to type in any code. I don't need to generate any code. It simply allows me in the website as soon as I get authenticated using my Face ID. So these are just some examples, right, of organizations or different applications facilitating next steps. But this is one key thing that we want to improve on if we really want to build that end-to-end and multi-dimensional omni-channel experience. Number 4 is orchestrated, right? Orchestration is very key right now in very big enterprise businesses or in the tech space in general, because it represents the planning or coordination of multiple steps and elements of a situation to produce a desired effect for your users. Okay, what this means in a nutshell is that it allows your users to feel empowered. Okay, I'll go over to my next slide just to give you a visualization of what I mean by kind of like orchestrating the different steps that they need to do so that they can feel empowered, right? So you can see here at the very bottom, this is the baseline customer expectation, that they're safe and secure, right? It's easy to do. And as you go up, right, it talks about more of you performing the task very efficient, the task being performed on their behalf, right? So it's like an automation already. And the last one is that the task is already done on their behalf, but at the same time, there's more proactive things happening that suggests new things for them and automatically provides kind of like resolutions for them, right? So this quote I really like. It talks about yesterday's great experience is tomorrow's so-so experience, which I think is very fit for the theme, right, of experience digital, since we're in a pandemic, that we continuously need to adjust. We continuously need to innovate, right, and learn from what we're presenting as a service or as a product or as a tool to different users. So my big thinking really here, or my moonshot idea is, can't you just imagine, for example, for the internet service providers to be able to address your needs proactively, right? That's on the 4th or 5th level, right? Wouldn't it be great for ISPs to be able to notify you proactively that your system is down or your connection will be down. We're already working on a resolution. Please wait a day or two for that to be resolved, and then they will be providing you with all constant updates. I think that's beautiful customer service, right? But today, what happens is, I notice my internet is down. I'd have to call and probably wait in the queue for about 30 minutes, talk to someone who doesn't know about my context, and I need to explain everything, and then they will need to check It'll probably take a week or two before it gets resolved, right? But that's the concept of orchestration, right? The organization looks deeper or becomes proactive to anticipate the needs of the customers and sometimes already provide the answers to the customers even before they realize they need it. Okay, so that's one very big key thing that we need to take note of as part of the fourth component of the omni-channel experience. So again, this one requires a lot more technical investment or integrated systems from an IT standpoint because you need to ensure that your ecosystem really supports that single view of every customer need, right? So that you can have that big engine that will facilitate, relevant interactions in real time. So what you need to do is level up your orchestration in three ways. Number one, proactively automate major steps, right? So your key repetitive operational steps, that's where you can really improve or provide a better experience for the users. So something that most folks probably in the working industry do is pay for their credit card bills, right? So what would normally happen is I would probably, type in the account or the customer number of my credit card, type in the amount, type in all of those details before I proceed with paying for my credit card bill, right? What I can do right now with this application is that I go to my credit cards, right? Each of them shows me my outstanding balance for the month. There's this button of that says Pay Now. When I click on Pay Now, it automatically types in all of those information for me, and all I just have to do is click on Pay or click on Submit. It authenticates, and I'm done with my job. Right, so that's proactively automating major steps that really provides big or quick wins for any organization. The second one is use data for targeted experiences or segmented profiles. So in PNG, in one of our applications, it's a digital onboarding or a digital customer engagement application where we use segmented profiles. So whenever a user accesses this website, I would see a different thing based on my profile. Right, so we have this customer database where we basically use GraphSQL to take into account all information about the user. Of course, that are allowed for us to be collected from a data privacy standpoint, like which area or service center does this person belong to, what is their role, what is their country, what's the region they belong to, what is their functions, to which organization do they roll up to. Depending on those information, we present them different contexts, right? Because priorities will be different for different persons. So we use these segmented profiles to be able to provide a better experience, right? A better context to all these users who will be using the application so that they don't need to work on, identifying which one is relevant for me, which one's relevant for another person. And the third one is, I would say, the most technical of all, right? And believe it or not, there's a lot of UX improvement that you can really, put into life if you do invest in some of these technical capabilities. So there's real-time orchestration. So just think of it as customer service. For example, you have an issue with your internet, you call, you have it resolved, the incident gets resolved, the problem gets resolved, everything is fulfilled, right? So we have that internal concept for our IT operations. So of course, we don't want our data centers, our networks to be down. So we have our own incident management, right? I myself am a customer of this IT of this IT tool. So what happens is that whenever someone raises a customer service request and tells them I have an incident in Manila of my Wi-Fi or my VPN not working, right? What happens on the customer service agent side is that everything is orchestrated from their end. What do I mean by that? They see all incidents regardless of that person's profile. So I see, hey, this person B who's from the same service center, from the same country, from the same region, who's using the same laptop, probably with this user, has similar incidents, right? So they'll be able to see all of those information, right? Even before some other users recognize the need for it, and we will be able to proactively address and support those queries in a very timely manner, right? So again, you need to level up your orchestration, and orchestration requires a lot of technical investment on artificial intelligence, data analytics, machine learning, all those different items. The last one is being collaborative, right? This is not more of collaboration from person to person, but collaboration from channel to channel and device to device that the user has. So this one is an enriched experience by using channels together to create something new and very useful. One example that I hope some folks can relate to will be your screencasting, right? So if you have a smart TV, if you have Chromecast, or if you have the Amazon version of the Chromecast, or even Apple TV, you would see this icon whenever you watch videos, right, on Facebook, Netflix, or YouTube. This allows you to open up your video on a bigger screen. So in this case, I'm showing it on my big TV. So this presents the ability for parallel channel use and collaborative solutions. I really like the recent Apple commercial on or not commercial, but the event on kind of like their equivalent of Google Home, right? Where everything is basically interconnected. Every channel, every device that you use is basically easy to use, regardless of where you are, right? So this is the concept of the last component really of being collaborative, wherein all channels can be used together, all devices can be used together and can be interconnected, so that the user has added perceived benefit and has added opportunity, right, to be able to perform more productive items or perform more useful items using your product, using your service, using your application. Okay, so those are the 5 components. I'll talk about what's this relevance, right? Dom, why do we need to invest in omni-channel user experience? Why do we need to look into the customer journey, right? How does this impact, the company that I have, the business that I'm leading, or the organization that I'm working for, right? There's 2 things. One is consumer-based benefit, and the other one is internal benefit. From a consumer standpoint, there's really better conversion or improved conversion from your users because there's less friction, right, throughout the customer journey. As I shown initially, right, an intern who we hire would experience all those different items virtually using different channels, using different devices, probably, and some of them he's receiving physical products from PNG. So it improves really the conversion of your customers. The second one is brand perception and credibility, right? If you're a little bit more flexible, right, in terms of your channels, in terms of your devices and your touch points, it makes it easier for everyone to access your product, right? Given this time of pandemic, everything is more digital. It really just proves that you need to invest in being more digital, or at least having that flexibility in terms of what channel you're offering to your customers. Third one is customer and client retention, right? So I mentioned there's a single interaction, there's relationship, and there's journey level. All of these contribute to really bringing that trust and credibility for your customers, so that in turn, they can really represent or promote your company, right, or promote your service or your application to other people as well. On the internal side, and I think this is where overall customer journeys and omni-channel experience really represents a big benefit on, is number one, productivity, right? For those applications with very big user support base, it takes a lot of time to be able to support queries of folks that are not empowered. What do I mean? I do have chatbots, but all my chatbots leave to a live agent. So meaning I'm not orchestrating anything. I'm not really putting a seamless transition, or I'm not facilitating anything. It's just a beautiful, I would say, or it's more of the channel that we have, but not really the service, right? So there's a lot of productivity that comes into play when you guys look into an omni-channel experience. The second one, PNG is a very big service center, not really a call center, but it's a very big service center that caters to global use cases. At the end of the day, it's lesser cost on service providers on the internal side, or the organizations servicing your consumers, right? It's less cost for them because users are empowered. There's probably going to be less reports of incidents or complaints or requests for help or guidance from your customers, because it's intuitive for them, right? They can use different devices. They can easily transition from one device to another. And lastly is reduce employee turnover, right? I think omni-channel experience as an investment really tells how an organization is looking into innovation and how they are investing into technology, right? If you're in an organization that really puts trust on employees to invest, improving on all these different components that I mentioned, then that just impacts a reduce in employee turnover, because um, from both sides of management and the employees and the managers, there's all alignment to really improve on the service and the entire experience, versus just look at each and every part as a silo, as a department, as an individual piece versus the entire experience. Okay. And lastly, support is key, right? So some folks creating designs may not really be keen or really relate to this one. But if you're a part of an enterprise business, especially if you're working on the IT space, um, when you deploy something, then you need to support it, right? Support interactions normally indicate a failure in the customer experience. And what we need to do as the folks who design applications, different services, different products and tools, is that we need to provide them with multiple paths and different options so that they can provide their customer inputs, right? So that we can also provide them with the service as their provider. So an example that I would put here is one thing that I saw from Globe, right? So it's well promoted on their website that you would have Messenger, you'd have Facebook, you'd have Twitter, different applications, communities, Globe at Home app that is available for you so that you can get your issues resolved, right? But this is just one thing, right? Actual service is actually, greater impact versus just the diversity of channels. So what do I mean? You need to offer diversity of channels so that you can provide support to your users. But at the same time, you need to ensure that if you've diversified your channels, you actually have the right support capabilities, right? Of being orchestrated, collaborative, seamless, consistent, um, and those components all put into place of your service after you've diversified your channels or your options. So I don't want to be able to have Messenger and be chat with someone, but at the end of the day I don't have anything resolved, right? Still, diversity goes hand in hand, right, with the actual service or the actual journey or the single interaction level that we will provide to our users or our customers. Okay. um, Sorry, I actually put that one on the other slide, but for my closing points, just very quickly, these are things that I want you guys to bring with you as you go forward with some of your projects, or go into the work industry, or do internship with other folks. Is that number one, very important, is you create a dialogue with stakeholders. How do you create this dialogue? You get their buy-in using quantitative stuff, right? Numbers really is what would bring management to see benefit on what they need to invest on. Right? So use data, use analysis, use the omni-channel asset maps, journey maps, right? Access documents to show them, right, which component can you actually improve on and what benefit can it actually drive. Second one is prioritize key customer journeys first, right? Look at where you have the highest ROI. Look at which has the highest cost of entry, at the same time highest return. Look at which actually represents your moments of truths, right? When we say moments of truths, that's your interaction point with your customers. The first time they interact with your product, the second touch point that they interact with your product, those are the areas you really want to invest in if you want to prioritize different key customer journeys. And last one, which customer journey will really drive loyalty, right? So that's where you can focus on. Third is continue assessing pain points. So for me, user experience really is a process. It never ends. It's not a one-time activity that you develop or build, this application, this product, and you're done on day one, right? That's why we have product managers. That's why we have the product lifecycle, all these items, because UX is a constant improvement process, right? So use these 5 components so that you can assess where you are, in terms of your organization skill and capability, and look into which components you can actually improve on, right? So that you can get that benefit, get that ROI in the quickest way possible. Fourth one is plan your execution, right? As I mentioned, UX will not be a one-time thing, will not be a one-time activity. Building this omni-channel experience will be a very, very long-term plan. So you need to plan your execution. So in the IT world right now, we have Agile, we have DevOps, we have Scrum, right? Which basically means we deliver the most value we can in the fastest time, right? So focus on the highest value that will be contributed to your users, to your customers, and that's what you plan to execute. And lastly is iterate, right? So in relation to the third and fourth one, where you continuously assess areas that you can improve on, components that you can continuously build on, right? You need to set a vision. You need to follow that roadmap and continuously improve on your product and iterate based on learnings, right? Your customer journey maps, your asset maps, they're not, again, a one-time activity, right? You constantly assess if I've provided any value to my users. Is this experience actually, going higher in terms of satisfaction or not after my improvement? All those things. Okay. So my last slide will be this one. I think it represents omni-channel experience. It also represents UX for me as a thinking or as a mindset, right? But people tend to look at this as failures and success. But for me, these X's are more of experiences, right? That really tell you that it's an improvement process, right? Everyone will start at some point. There's no perfect product out there. There's no perfect service out there. So it's all about investing effort into understanding where you are, where you can grow, and what you can improve on. Okay, so that's about it. You can connect with me through my Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Just search my name, Dominic Pascasio, and then I'll just do a little plug. If you're interested in any shoes or sneaker content, follow my account in IG below there. That's pretty much about it. Thank you, guys. I'm open to questions now if there's any.
Thank you so much for that wonderful talk, Mr. Dom. And I'm pretty sure that all the participants are excited to learn more about this building omnichannel journeys and customer experiences. So now we'll be opening the floor for questions from talk. So please not hesitate to ask through Slido. You may ask through the QR code being presented, or you may click the link in our chat box. Okay, so for our first question, with one thumbs up, again, you can find the questions you want to be asked.
Okay.
If your company is currently not that omni now, how long would it usually take to redesign, develop everything, considering the research and all?
All right. So I'll answer that question, and I think there's different answers there based on the maturity level and the buy-in that you have from your stakeholders, right? So if your organization has very low maturity in terms of omni-channel experience and but has some type of buy-in, I would say it's a good 6-month plan, like a short-term plan to really get that quick win, right? But if you really want to invest in omni-channel or building this end-to-end experience of customer journey, from a PNG standpoint and from an industry standard, it normally is kind of like a year to 3 years worth of planning, right? Of research and iteration. But that doesn't mean you have to wait for that year for you to be able to bring something live to your customers. As I mentioned, Agile and DevOps is very key right now. So it's all about bringing small and smaller chunks of functions and features to your customers as you see the fit and the benefit for them. So you can do that, depending on your development capacity, but probably within 2 to 4 weeks. But it really depends on your prioritization. But from a planning standpoint, it can range from about 6 months to about a year to 3 years.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So we only have time for two more questions. The next one. What brand or business do you look up to for your omni-channel customer experience strategy, and why?
That's actually a very, very good question. Okay. So one of the stuff that I showed earlier will be kind of like your, how do I call it? Like your Google ecosystem of products or even Apple ecosystem of products. So um, as I mentioned, if you're on YouTube, for example, you can easily cast your videos on your TV. You can use the different functionalities of your music streaming applications or even video streaming applications and play them across different channels or different devices across your home. So I would say Apple or Google are things. So Apple and Google is very general, but I think their devices and their channels and their systems represent this omni-channel concept.
Mm, I see, I see. Thank you so much for that. Um, what else?
Probably I can answer just the two, and I can hit that probably within the next 3 minutes if that's okay. Um,
Yeah, thank you.
omni-channel experience. I think it's very relatively new to the industry. So if you're interested in any of those, you can look into articles of Niels and Norman Group. I've tagged some of those articles into my slides, so you can look into that. But it's somewhat similar to user experience, customer experience, right? But it just talks about an experience is not just about an interaction; it's about the end-to-end, journey and all those items. What do you think is a common challenge faced by brands, companies that are pursuing an omnichannel experience, and how can it be solved? So this is the one thing, the one last probably question for me. It's the organization silo, right? So if you have a big company, you have maybe a small startup, but you have different groups, different segments working, like marketing, HR, product design, manufacturing in our case, right? Those departments tend to think about their outputs as just the channels, and they tend to focus on the channels that they're working for. But in reality, they need to collaborate and think about the end-to-end experience and break that silo of working as part of this organization and creating an output that will be visible on my channel, right? So it's an end-to-end omni-channel experience, so they need to break that silo between the organizations and departments.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Events. Can you answer this question? Are you able to get a copy of the speakers?
For sure, I'll send my deck over to someone from UX, and probably you can just share it over to everyone. But yeah, I'll be happy to share it.
Thank you so much for that. For the other unaddressed questions here, where can interested participants like contact you if ever they still want those questions answered?
Yeah, they can link up with me on LinkedIn. I'm very open to answer these questions also on Messenger if they want to. But just do reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a talk, maybe a quick discussion with you guys if anyone is interested. So just reach out to me on my social media, and I'll be happy to have a talk.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And yes, follow Pascasio now.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Aaron.
Okay, thank you everyone. We hope you learned a lot from Mr. Pascasio's talk today. So with this, UX Society would like to award a certificate of appreciation to Mr. Pascasio, which will also be sent to you via email. So we have the details. The certificate is awarded to Dom Pascasio in gratitude for speaking at this year's UX&Chill 2020 Experience Digital with the topic Building Omnichannel Journeys and Customer Experience, given on this 30th day of November 2020. Everyone, let's give them a loud clapping or emojis for woo for applause. And for you all, thank you so much, everyone, for attending day one of UX&Chill. We are so happy to have you guys with us here today. Before we end, let's take a photo here for everyone here in the Zoom. We highly encourage everyone to open their cameras for this group photo. Oh, we will correct that spelling. Super sorry for that. Wow, so many industry legends here. I'm flattered to be in the same Zoom. Everyone on? Don't be shy. Okay, I think just a simple one will do. Um, all right. In three, two, one, smile. Okay na. Events, are we good? Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. Before you
Thank you,
go,
guys.
to help us improve our events, please answer the evaluation form for today's event. We'll send the link in the chat box or on the QR code to be flashed. Yep, it's right there. It would really be great to get this feedback so we can help I iterate, for a better user experience. Ooh. So this officially ends day one of UX and Chill. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. We'd also like to thank again our co-presenter, UX Philippines, and our partners, the Ateneo Blue Consulting Group, the Computer Society of the Ateneo, Developer Student Club Zayola, and the Ateneo Association of Communication Technology Management. Thanks to your support, this event would have been what is possible. We have so much more in store for you the next few days, so mark your calendars. See you all tomorrow. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful talk, everyone.